Senator Back. Senator Singh.
The Great Barrier Reef is one of the most outstanding coral reefs on Earth. It is, however, one of the most fragile and complex ecosystems in the world, and that is something that was made very clear by anyone in this place who has seen Sir David Attenborough's fascinating and extensive documentary that really peeled back the issues currently facing the Great Barrier Reef. It peeled back its structure, its past, its entire ecosystem, and indeed its uncertain future. And unfortunately, that uncertain future is an international tragedy that is happening before our eyes. It is very clear that the changing global problem of the reef, with the rise of acidification and the rise of the ocean temperature, is killing the coral within it. It is killing the beautiful, outstanding coral reef that we have on this earth. And it is up to us, in the face of it being in such grave danger, that we do our utmost in this place to protect it. Now, of course, it's those in government, particularly the minister, that should be doing its utmost. And one may think that Minister Greg Hunt has the problem under control. Well, what assurance on earth can we be given from Minister Greg Hunt to understand that he has that problem under control? Because I certainly do not have any assurance. I don't have any assurance because, unfortunately, the record of the current minister in being a minister for the environment is absolutely lacking in every shape and form. Now, if carbon pollution is the root of the problem, and it is the root of the problem because it has been evidence is provided by scientists, including by the Bureau of Meteorology, by the Great Barrier Marine Park Authority itself, that climate change is the problem. Therefore, carbon pollution is the problem. If that is the root of the problem, then how can this minister approve a coal mine that will add carbon pollution and exacerbate the current problems facing the Great Barrier Reef? Now, leading scientists have made it very clear that this is the worst mass coral bleaching event for the most pristine parts of the Great Barrier Reef. Last year I went to Cairns and I went out to the Great Barrier Reef. I spoke to those stakeholders that work tirelessly in the protection of the reef, and they include tourism operators. And they told me, indeed, the effect of the coral bleaching, the effect of climate change, the effect of acidification and of runoff, and all of this having a dire consequence on our reef. Now, the biggest and most crucial part of all of this is that it's irreversible. These are irreversible consequences that are occurring on our reef. And yet here we are in 2016, on the back of all of this and on the back of the fact that the World Heritage Committee was in the closest shot of actually listing our Great Barrier Reef as endangered, that we are approving a brand new coal mine that is going to exacerbate the problems. Not only exacerbate the problems for the reef, but also is going to lead us to not achieve our Paris climate agreements that we've signed up to. Now, there is one shining light. There is one shining light, and of course that's the global market, because at the moment it does seem that the company Adani, that is the proponent of this new Carmichael mine reef, is not seeming to finding the finances that it needs to get it off the ground. So it doesn't seem like it is going to be a practical reality. So we may be saved in that sense. I understand, of course we all know, around the world the market is moving away from fossil fuels and it is moving into renewable energy, which is exactly why Labor wants to encourage and support this transition through our commitment to 50% renewable energy by 2030. Now, therefore, Adani has put this, I understand, project on hold, stating that the global coal market, which no one expects to recover in the foreseeable future, makes the project commercially unviable. Well, anyone could have told Minister Hunt that. Anyone could have told Minister Hunt the scientific evidence in relation to the approval of this mine. All of that aside, he went ahead and gave the approval process twice, in fact, twice.
Order, Senator.
Meantime, the big three coal markets in the world, US, China and India, account for about 3/4 of coal consumption, and this consumption, all of it, is in steady decline in those three nations. And indeed, even in India itself, which is the country in which the Carmichael mine hoped to export to, India's own Energy Minister, Piyush Goyal, has said himself that he wants to move India out of imports within 3 years. Within 3 years. So where and then would the Carmichael mine find its export market? But this all goes back to a bigger issue, and that is what is at stake. And what is at stake is, as I said at the outset, an outstanding coral reef on this earth that happens to be located in northern Australia, in Queensland, and we all have a job to protect it. Indeed, in the words, I wouldn't usually agree with him, but in the words of the former Liberal leader John Hewson, who said the Adani coal mine is a massive mistake for this country, I have to agree with him in that sense. There is, of course, a series of legal challenges underway in relation to the project as well as it securing finance, so I do hope and see that it probably will not see the light of day. But put aside, there is a bigger issue here at stake, and that is how a government is going to care and look after and make sure there is the necessary resources to care for our Great Barrier Reef. That is something that I simply cannot see the current government giving any assurance on. He says he has the problem under control, but we know Minister Hunt's record. He's someone that actually thinks the way to tackle carbon pollution is through a direct action policy, a policy that his own Prime Minister referred to as a fig leaf solution in itself. So we know time and time again, whether it's from the Prime Minister, whether it's from the Environment Minister himself, who wrote a PhD thesis on an emissions trading scheme, that they have completely sold out on their principles when it comes to climate change, when it comes to tackling carbon pollution, to ensure that the Conservatives in government control those in the Cabinet, to keep them in their positions. And in the meantime, the biggest losers, of course, Madam Acting Deputy President, are those parts of our environment that actually lose out, such as the Great Barrier Reef. I think that Sir David Attenborough did a fascinating and very thought-provoking documentary in his Great Barrier Reef documentary. Indeed, when he told the US President Barack Obama about the Great Barrier Reef, you could see the anguish on the President's face as to what is going on in this country. You know, why are we approving a coal mine at the time when this reef is in danger, and when we know that the effect of its danger is climate change, it's carbon pollution? Why aren't we doing our utmost to tackle carbon pollution, to move to renewables? Well, that is exactly what a Labor government will do. We will invest heavily in ensuring this country moves to a renewable energy country of energy rather than a fossil fuel based economy, because that is exactly what is happening around the world, because that's why we signed an agreement in Paris, because we know for the future, not for us, for our children and our grandchildren, we have to live in a more carbon-free world, and that is a world that has less pollution, that has our resources of our natural resources protected, and our people, of course, protected, because they are in the new jobs of tomorrow, jobs that we probably haven't even thought of, but jobs that definitely look at the energy development of wind, of solar, of geothermal, of wave, that provide us the energy that we need. No one doubts that we will continue to need energy. We are energy-rich consumers, but that energy does not need to come from fossil fuels in the future, because that is